the best sports games on the Quest 3. Today I've got 16 games for you of varying different sports of all kinds, and there are links to all of these games down in the description. Let's start off with golf, because Golf Plus is one of the best games, not just best sports games, but one of the best games on the Quest platform, period. It's continually been updated with graphical updates, with tons of new courses that are DLC. Overall, it's a fantastic game with great physics. It's got a massive community, so you're playing online, you're pretty much always going to find someone to play with. Golf Plus is the ultimate version of virtual reality golf, and it is my top pick for pretty much all of this list. There's a lot of great games on this list, but Golf Plus is probably up there with one of the best games of all time on Quest. So if you love golf, or if you think you might be interested in getting into golf, Golf Plus is a great starting point, and it's just so much fun to play. But there are other options for golf if you want to go in a less realistic direction. Golf Plus is the best realistic golf simulation type game on Quest. It's the Tiger Woods PGA Tour of VR, especially since they've completely partnered with the PGA, with real PGA-rated courses and all that stuff. But if you're looking for something a little bit more arcadey, Ultimate Swing Golf is awesome as well. This is done by the same developers that did Hot Shots Golf back in the day, and you can tell that by looking at the characters, and the gameplay is extremely similar. Very arcadey, but also very fun too. It's cool to have a caddy that talks to you just like back in the day, and there's a lot of really cool artwork, and it's just a good throwback game for me when it comes to Hot Shots Golf, because I played that a lot with my dad when I was younger. So Ultimate Swing Golf is a great arcadey game with some really cool visuals, a great visual aesthetic, and some cool courses to play. And online play too. It's not as good as Golf Plus, but it's actually a great game. Now, Full Swing Golf isn't the only awesome thing about virtual reality golf. This next game, Walkabout Mini Golf, is maybe the best game, period, on Quest for a large audience. And what I mean by that is that Walkabout Mini Golf is a fantastic, not just starting point for those entering VR. In fact, my wife is playing VR now thanks to Walkabout Mini Golf. It is also an amazing social experience with some insane courses, and it's just amazing. The physics in it are spot on. Everything about Walkabout Mini Golf is fantastic. If you've never played it, please, for the love of all things VR, play it, because it is fantastic. Even if you don't like mini golf, it's just so good. Plus, there's so much detail you can explore. I went into Venice to play, and then we hopped in a boat and rode through the canals after we were done playing. A lot happening in these worlds, so 100% Walkabout Mini Golf. If you're not into Full Swing Golf, then this is the way to get that little taste of golf and that sports kind of thing. It's so good. Next up, let's talk Racket Club. Racket Club is the only racket game on this list. There are several tennis games, and they're a lot of fun, but I think when it comes to VR, Racket Club really strikes the best balance, because you're not having to run around the court and get into the right spot, which is really hard for tennis in VR, because you can't physically run unless you've got a full court, and stick movement just isn't accurate enough to get you to a good spot consistently, in my experience. They do have teleportation. You can pull the trigger in a lot of these games and allow you to actually teleport to where the ball is, but Racket Club changes that by combining things like tennis, racquetball, paddleball, whatever the things are called, pickleball, there we go, and it makes it into like a totally new game. And it is so much fun. Great social. It's by Resolution Games. They've got so many good games out there already. If you haven't played Racket Club, I recommend looking into it if you like racket-style games, because this is a great social experience, and it's unique, and it's really cool. Let's talk about another huge sport, and that is basketball. First, let's talk Gym Class, because Gym Class is the most popular basketball game on Quest. It's super accessible. It is more like jumping into a social club than like traditional video game basketball. You're going to join social rooms where you can play basketball against other people. Gym Class is designed as a social experience. It's like going to gym class or going to the local gym and playing with strangers or friends. The game has been updated so much over the past few years. Tons of people playing it, so there's always someone to play with. And they continually update the physics and the way the game plays and the mechanics, and it's a great basketball game if you want that just social experience with, feeling like you're jumping in and you're policing your own rules. You know what I mean? For the most part, it's relies on each other to play the game. It's not built like a video game, it's built like a social experience. So you jump in and you play, one-on-one, two-on-two, whatever you want to play, and you police it yourself, which is great as a social experience. But if you're more into like a video game style experience, I think that the brand new game Totally Basketball is a lot of fun. It is multiplayer as well, and it can be 3v3, or you can actually play full AI matches with you, 2 AI team members on your team, and 3 AI on the other team. And you can actually command your AI team members as to, what you want them to do with different buttons, which I think is a really cool mechanic. That, in my experience, is the best true, like, full court, full game basketball experience on Quest. If you want like the video game style where the computer is going to calculate everything for you and keep track of rules and fouls and all that stuff. There's also Blacktop Hoops, which is the last basketball game on this list, and that is more like NBA Jam or like Street, kind of a combination of the both of those with some outlandish visuals. It has multiplayer as well, so you can play, I think it's 2v2 is the max in that game, and I believe it's just all half court, not full court basketball. And then they've got the AI stuff as well, tons of unlockables, and the AI gets really hard. It's a great game if you want that kind of less realistic style basketball game where it's more like the flaming ball slamming into the hoop with massive crazy dunks. It's fun too, but there are 3 totally different categories of basketball, where gym class is the more social, super loose version, like going to play on a court with some friends. Totally Basketball is like the NBA, I don't want to say NBA Live, but that style of realistic, rules-based basketball game, full court, full game. And then Blacktop Hoops is more of the, cartoony, arcadey style basketball game. Each have their own benefits and each have their own audience. So whichever one you would like, that would be what you should get. There's a few games for football, American football, on Quest, but I'm only going to mention one because the other ones are okay. This one, though, is the ultimate NFL experience. It's the only official NFL experience, and it's fantastic. This is NFL Pro Era, and in 2025, everything changed for this. So if you're going to buy into this game, you can actually buy the game, and you can buy a pass for the year, which unlocks the defensive play. Originally, it was only offensive, not defensive, and now you can play both sides of the ball. It's completely social, so you can play against friends or strangers online as a huge social hub. You can take your team from the beginning of the season all the way through the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and it's a really cool experience to play through the Super Bowl. Physics are better this year. Visuals are better this year. Just an overall really good experience, and now that they've changed it to a live services game instead of like a yearly launch, I think it'll benefit the game a lot, and it's going to the rosters will continue to be updated in the game as you buy the pass for that year. You get all the updates for that year. I like the idea of it, and I love NFL Pro Era as a football game. Let's step away from the more traditional sports for just a minute and talk about fishing. Real VR fishing is, oh my word, it's just amazing visually. There's so much to do in this game, so many locations to go to with all the DLC. It's probably the most realistic of all the games on this list as far as visuals go because it uses photogrammetry and real locations in the game to actually go fishing in. It's multiplayer. It is satisfying. It is you have the ability to watch a browser while you're fishing and listen to music or play YouTube videos. It's one of the craziest things to experience for the first time in VR because it just looks so good. And since fishing is a sport, I wanted to put on this list. So Real VR Fishing, I highly recommend if you like fishing or if you want a realistic environment to relax in and just do some fishing, or even just, sit and enjoy the sounds or the rain in some levels. So yeah, Real VR Fishing is fantastic. I'm not sure how much you would consider this a sport. It is definitely a sport for some people, and it's sport adjacent at the minimum, especially with the time trials and stuff in this game. I did the climb too because I think the levels are better and the visuals look better. There's 2 different games, but I would recommend the climb too if you can get that one. It's all about climbing, obviously. Free climbing, where you're going to climb mountains or buildings in one instance. Snow-covered, sand-covered. It's really great if you want a climbing experience. It's by far the best climbing experience on the Quest. Now let's talk pool. Miracle Pool is an amazing pool experience on Quest, and you'll notice in the title that M and R are capital because it's a mixed reality experience. It's what it's designed for. You can put a pool table in your space and play pool with friends or by yourself against AI or whatever, and it's just so fun. The physics and the mechanics are best for this game on Quest. It functions really, really well. So if you love pool And whether you want to play online or not, Miracle Pool is the best pool game on the Quest. Highly recommended if you're looking to play pool in virtual reality or mixed reality, I should say. Bowling is also a great sport. I used to do it a lot when I was younger. I actually had my own bowling shoes and all that stuff. Forever Bowl is, in my opinion, the best option for bowling on Quest. It may not be the most realistic, and it may not be the best in the world as far as like bowling games go, but it's the best on Quest, in my opinion. Premium Bowling is also out there as well, if you want to check that out. But I think that Forever Bowl has the best variety, some of the coolest levels, craziest balls, and it's completely multiplayer, and it looks really fun. I really personally enjoy it. So if you're looking for a bowling game, Forever Bowl is on my list of best bowling games that I recommend to someone for the Quest 3. Let's jump back to the more traditional, the larger sports, and talk about baseball. There are very few baseball games on the Quest that are full baseball games. There's a couple of like home run derby games, but I'm not talking about those today. Today I'm talking about a full baseball game, Totally Baseball, by the same developers as Totally Basketball. Been around for a little longer, tons of updates, fully multiplayer. You could play on a field with your friends in a full multiplayer game with all the positions, or at least most of them if you want to, if you can get enough people together and you just play, online. But there's also a full single-player campaign that's fantastic as well. A lot of fun to play through, challenging. You can either do full pitch, where you're going to actually pitch the ball as the pitcher, or you can use a cannon, essentially, like a Mega Man-style cannon, and fire the balls so you don't have to actually throw them. That's fun too, but I like to actually pitch the ball. And then when the player hits the ball, it actually switches you to the person closest to where the ball is going to be so you can field the ball, which I think is great. The batting is fun. Overall, just a great baseball game. It doesn't look like realistic. It's more like kiddie, kind of like backyard baseball, but it actually plays really well, and it's a ton of fun to play through. Snowboarding, also an Olympic sport, right? And a very challenging one at that. Carved snowboarding doesn't get talked about a lot. It's, I think, the only snowboarding game on Quest, but it's by the same developers that did some of the bigger snowboarding games of previous generations, and it is a great game. There's a lot to like about it, whether you're going down the mountain and at nighttime, flying through and doing really cool tricks, just enjoying yourself going down, petting the dog in the cabin. There's a lot to love about carved snowboarding, and not enough people talk about it. I had so much fun back in the day when I played it. It's been too long. I really should play it again. I just don't have time most of the time to play all these different things. But carved snowboarding, if you want a snowboarding game, really good on Quest. Highly recommend checking that out too. We're coming to the end of the list with just a couple left. I got to mention soccer, or, European football, the rest of the world football, right? But soccer for us here in the States. Clean Sheet Soccer is a great trainer kind of simulator. It's a goalie simulator is what it is. Soccer is super challenging on Quest, because unless you want to use your hands as your feet, and there's a couple of games that do that, there's no such thing as feet tracking on Quest. So it's a challenging game to play. But Clean Sheet Soccer at least puts you as a goalie. You can do some training, there's some mini games, and it's a cool experience. I wanted to put a soccer game on this list, so I had to pick this one as the best simulation style game, kind of, that's a lot of fun. So Clean Sheet Soccer, check that out if you're a big fan of soccer. And then finally on the list, boxing. Huge sport, right? Fighting. The Thrill of the Fight right now is the best fighting game on Quest. Now there's a sequel to this coming out, Thrill of the Fight 2, that's going to be amazing, launching in early access in December, I believe, and I can't wait to play that. It's going to have multiplayer. This game is just single player, but the physics and the way that you play and the physicality of this game, second to none on Quest. There's other games like Creed, which is a really, really arcadey game, and it's cool to see the characters, but if you want a boxing game that's the best that you can play right now, the Thrill of the Fight, 100% hands down is the best one on Quest. Well, there you go. Those are my list of the best sports games on the Quest 3. Links to all of them, like I said, down in the description if you want to check them out, though. They are affiliate links, so they don't cost you anything else, but they do help out the channel. If you're going to buy one, would really appreciate you clicking through that link if you'd like to. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, because I've got a video a week leading up till Christmas with the best game lists. Everything from action games to horror games for the week of Halloween, and then culminating in the best games, period, that you can get on Quest for the week of Christmas. So subscribe to keep up to date on all things Quest and the best games on the Quest 3. Thank you so much for watching, and happy questing.